contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing? This is 101.
101!
We didn't even really think about that with the last one. I mean, I feel like 100 is a big deal, right? Is it?
I don't know. Humans have made 100 a big deal. They've made a
We
lot
are
of things.
centenarian podcast.
Humans have made a lot of things a big deal that really could do without being a big deal.
What if nothing was a big deal and nothing was a little deal?
And people just didn't get offended by anything.
What if we all just could relax,
Chill,
enjoy each other,
have amazing sex.
every day,
Amazing sex.
not wait for birthdays
Amazing sex.
or Christmas
Amazing sex.
or holidays,
Sloppy wet.
anniversaries.
All over the place. Naked sex. My name is Todd.
My name is Cole.
This is the Mentor in the Mirror podcast.
So, oddly enough, this episode isn't anything to do with sex, and yet everything has to do with sex.
And it has nothing to do with 101 episodes either.
It's true, or does it?
It has everything, I guess, because it is the 101st episode.
That is true, which means it has nothing to do with it.
Nothing. Zero.
You're all welcome, by the way. This
Very
is the
welcome.
kind of existential questions that you get to ask yourself, and we ask ourselves every day.
That's right. Am I having amazing sex?
Is that my... That was actually pretty good for me.
What was that?
I don't know. Back breaking
Sounds
from
like-
the sex is so good or something.
Ah, nice.
That's how broke
The
off I
last-
got.
the
I don't
last
know.
time I heard a bone break, and it was never.
Was never. Maybe
More
that's
like-
getting broke off.
more like.
Hopefully it's
You gotta
not
have that. Ooh.
Like
you
the-
break something, it gotta be that.
Yeah, but that's like the kung fu. Oh man. So,
woman.
well, I mean, the best way to pivot from there is just to pivot. Boom.
That's the pivot sound. Here comes the pivot sound. I don't know what was pivoting.
I
but
don't either.
It got pivoted.
But here we are. We have
listen, y'all.
pivoted.
We've been deep in the trenches doing some work and some
Moving, protecting chickens.
and talking to people about deep processes. It's been really bananas, the amount of existential crises we've been managing.
The thing, yeah, I'm not even going to get into that portion of it, really. Look, at the end of the day, between our move and how we've been kind of fielding people that have been rated R, as we're calling it, they've been rated a racist because from other people's perspective, they were not functioning in an anti-racist fashion, which makes them racist. And we've been talking a lot about this binary thought process that humans get conditioned into. We just did an interview this week for the Bio-Curious podcast with Kayla. And this binary thought process is what's creating even further divisiveness, is because if you are not anti-racist, you are racist. And, you know, even the idea that someone is racist because they are not adhering to your idea of what anti-racism is a discriminatory function in a binary thinking process that gets humans into a lot of disruption and distress.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it stops people from connecting deeply. It stops people from being inclusive. When you polarize things, it's really challenging to include both ends of polarization. If you
Right.
have something that's in the North Pole, it's kind of hard to be connected to the South Pole. It is connected through every other part of the world. So bringing all that stuff together makes more sense. But you know, when we make things binary, when we swing the pendulum that way, we aren't able to see another person's perspective or hear another person's voice. So it's really important for us to be able to connect that. And so when you rate someone R, when you rate someone as a racist, it may cause a person to physiologically shut down or to fight back or to hide or to run or to exclude themselves from something or to feel excluded from something. So it's really a challenge when someone is called racist. Now, calling someone out on a function that is a dynamic of racism, I'm all about
That's
that.
functional,
I'm
right.
all about that. However, when you point fingers and you witch hunt and you call people stuff and you shut them down, it is dysfunctional. The reason I say this is because it causes exclusion, which racism is designed to cause in the first place. And racism as a system, I don't think it actually really cares if it's causing exclusion of a particular race or it's causing exclusion of some other sort.
That humans use.
It is a device to cause separation.
Yeah.
And so for a separation to be caused by calling someone a racist, and then saying that you're inclusive, you're talking about diversity.
You're trying to protect others.
You're talking about diversity, equity,
Yeah.
and inclusion, and you're not including people because you have deemed them as a racist. Right. Meanwhile, there are dynamics that we're all participating that are dynamics of racism. So being able to bring that to the forefront is really important. So we've created this program called Rated R for people who have been rated as a racist.
Or afraid to be rated.
For people who are afraid to be rated as racist. And for people who are curious and have actually rated people as a racist and are interested in exploring a dynamic that they may not have explored before because they're talking about being anti-racist. And this program is really about bringing people together and creating that intimacy in dialogue, intimacy in your business, intimacy in your relationships at home. But, primarily it's about getting people to start recognizing that inclusion requires intimacy, and intimacy and let's not get intimacy twisted into something sexual, because that's something that's been happening lately is people have been wrapping up sexuality and intimacy together. Intimacy is a deep connection, is an intricate connection between a person and a person and an object, a person and a system, a person in a place they live, a person in their country, a person in oxygen is an intimate relationship. How well do you know the intimacy between your body and oxygen? So when you start to understand a person's vantage point, I had a conversation with someone yesterday who came to me and was rationalizing all lives matter to me in contrast to Black Lives Matter to me, and kind of assumed that I was on the Black Lives Matter team, or and I just let him go on and talk about what he had to say. And I just asked him some questions around it. And he started to see a different perspective that he didn't see before. So he also hit me with some stuff around, he kind of assumed that we were also talking about the coronavirus. And he assumed that because I worked in a hospital for 20 years that I'm about masks. And I said nothing of the sort. And so he assumed all of these things. And so in me asking him questions, we started to have an intimate dialogue of intricacy. And so he started to see things a little differently. And so since his dialogue wasn't shut down, it wasn't, oh man, that's not how I am. I don't get down like that. No, that's not where I am. You're wrong. None of that was happening. And so he was allowed to...
Well, you weren't questioning his identity or his belief system.
And it was welcome. Everything that he said made plenty of sense to me, from his all lives matter perspective, from his perspective around the virus. All of it made plenty of sense. And I validated that. And part of what we're doing with Rated R is showing people how to first be intimate with yourself and see where you can just be aware of the dynamics of racism and the dynamics of people in a racist situation, and actually consider how a person got there, consider how they got there, and really deeply consider these things, and then move from a space of consideration to validation, the perspective of the person who has been performing in a racist space and a person and the person who's observing. All the truths are valid. Now, what do we do with all of these valid truths? There's this thing where people have been diagnosing people as racist, and you can't not be a racist now. You can't get out of it. So
if you were ignorant to it, you are still a racist.
Well, I mean, and you're guilty of being a racist.
Right.
And so,
and we talk about there's a difference between being intentionally racist, and there are people that are. It is their intention, right? On the flip side of that, we are all actively participating in racism. It is the only way we can really change it is to be able to have conversation to illuminate and bring awareness to how we are all participating. Because even when we have people come to us waving the anti-racist flag that are out on the witch hunts with the torch and pitchforks, we then point out just some language things to them, saying like, hey, I'd like to bring something to your awareness if you're open to it. You just said you feel it's your mission to step back and allow other Black voices forward. You just had a racist dynamic in the fact that your whiteness would allow the black voices
like a
forward.
black person would have to be allowed,
right, or
by
that
a
they
white
need
person.
your permission or your help.
Right, and that is a statement that
Correct.
is
that is a racist statement,
driven by racism.
Yes, exactly.
It's driven by racism, and it doesn't mean you are a racist.
Correct.
It means there's a racism dynamic moving through your physicality that is actually fortifying the system.
Yep.
And so when we look at racism is a part of something bigger. And that bigger thing is called oppression. And if we're going to be about it, and this is what this program is a space for
this
people
is for
to open
the
up.
leaders in particular that are about it.
And if you are about it and you're really, really about it, racism is a door, right? This is a door that we're opening up so people can see what oppression really looks like.
Yeah.
Because racism is just another form of oppression.
Correct.
We have sexism, we have fascism, we have classism, we have ageism, we have all of these different things that are oppressing people. And when one thing is oppressing another thing, that is a problem as far as I'm concerned. So if you are talking about being anti-racist, yet you go in your house and you tell your kid that no, only girls play with those toys.
Right.
That is oppression. And you are and it is an oppressive dynamic. It is a dynamic of sexism. Am I calling you a sexist? No. I'm telling you that this is a dynamic of sexism, right? So if you say, oh, you're too old to do that, or you're too young to do that,
or I'm too old to have this kind of hair color, hairstyle, wear those clothes.
That is a dynamic of ageism.
Yes.
And it is a form of oppressing yourself or oppressing someone else. If we're going to be about it, then let's be about it. Let's talk about oppression, because that is the umbrella under which racism dwells. And racism is a big part of oppression. Huge. And it's
for sure.
It's millennia old. This is not something that's a couple of 100 years old. It's not something that started with the transatlantic slave trade. This is ages old. And so when you recognize that people have been oppressing people for a long time, when people raise their children, they're being oppressed. They're putting an oppression on their sovereignty, right? You have to do this. You have to do that. You know, these are it's not just rules for safety, but this is how we operate. I want you to perform.
Yes.
This is how our family performs. That is a form of control, and control can be a form of oppression. Yep. And when you look at it, and it goes beyond just keeping someone safe, it's oppression.
And it also creates a system within the self to self-oppress, because that's what helps the control dynamics to stay fortified.
Right, and it's on autopilot.
Correct. Mm-hmm. That's why when you look at, say, all the women that want to change their hair to have it straighter or, softer, or hair extensions or whatever, that all comes because of whatever is within me needs to be different. So if I'm in charge of being judgmental of myself, I will change to participate in whatever dynamics I am consciously or unconsciously participating in order to fit in, or in order to, quote unquote, be better.
Right.
Of a higher echelon or quality.
Or to be normal. And normalization is part of normalization can be very, very oppressive. And I speak about this, and you may have heard me speak about this before. The idea of wearing clothes, which I am not wearing right now, right?
It's true. Ball sack straight on the chair.
On the chair. So we're doing podcast naked. This is the naked podcast. Naked in the mirror.
I
with
do
Don
have pants
Cole.
On.
Just pants? No.
No, I mean, I'm
you have a
fully
whole
clothed.
outfit. That's a hot outfit.
God, I got my makeup on. Like, come on.
That top is awesome. Anyway, wearing clothes, right? If I was to walk outside my house with no clothes on, right, and that's my natural state. I am naturally a human being, and I naturally have skin. I have arms, legs. I have gonads. I have a booty. I have all of these things. But if I walk outside with my quote unquote
Natural
private,
self.
privates, right?
Yeah.
The idea that it's called a private part. Right? The idea that me being outside is indecent. The idea that my humanity is indecent, the exposure of it is something that we are trained into from when we come out of the womb. We are trained
slap
a diaper on it, close it up and cover it. This is a form of oppression. It's a form of holding people back from being themselves, from being natural.
Yes.
And so I'm not saying that we don't have reasons for it and all that. Yeah, we can argue till the cows come home with that. But
we're discussing the devices here how the conditioning starts from such a young age.
And it starts from such a young age. Right. And it starts from conception with most people when they find out that they're pregnant.
You're
gonna have a boy. Oh, let's get some trucks and toys. let's put cars in Toy Story on the wall, right? And let's put blue and greens and get trucks and all that stuff and put it. Oh, it's a girl. Let's put pink, and let's get some Barbies, and let's put some strollers in here, and let's give her female dynamics. That is all sexism moving through your family.
Yes, and that is the beginning of discrimination of color, all right? Yep. Just because we are not already associating in that age black or white, we are discriminating color, that those are girls' colors, those are boys' colors. So when people tell me, I don't see color, I said, you have mentioned in the past that your favorite color is purple, correct? Oh yeah, I love purple. Then you must see color. So it's one thing to own in yourself or to believe that you do not make discriminatory or intentional choices based on a person's skin color. But to say you do not see color is offensive to many, and it is impossible, because then you're running all the red and green lights out on the street, because we are taught to see color.
Mm-hmm.
Period, the end.
Yeah, period,
so
the end.
It comes down to this next wave of human evolution is being created in the now, right now. And so while everyone else is seeing this like dust storm, when you imagine, right, like the dust storms where it's a wall of sand coming towards someone in a movie, or if you've ever been out in the desert, or Burning Man or whatever, most people focus on the grains of sand that are the obstacles. Most of society right now is focused on each of those grains of sand in this wall of sandstorm coming at them. We're looking at all the space in between every grain of sand and saying, look at how much space we have to create. What are we going to do with it? And we're looking to associate, to work with, to collaborate and co-create with the leaders out there that are ready to illuminate, become so significantly aware and intentional with their language and how they participate in systems that they can shift them on a dime, that they can talk about anything. Yep. Racism, sexism, classism, from a place of certainty of their own truth without having to be right, wrong, binary, whatever. Because again, like we've talked about, it's one thing to be diverse, but just because you've got, the black guy in accounting and the Mexican woman at reception, that does not make it inclusive. That means you have diversified bodies, not diversified thought, intention, or conversation.
And it's not inclusive. If you have diversity, and we've said this before, if you have diversity, it is a breeding ground for a lot of potential. And one of those potentials is more racism, sexism, more division, right? I recognize that those are women over there. Let them work over there. Let them do that over there. Oh, I recognize that those are Latino people. Let them stay over there. That's a space. Discrimination, it can be, diversity can be a breeding ground for discrimination and racism or any other ism. So when we talk about diversity, do we have diversity with inclusion? Right. Is there inclusivity? And when we include people in everything, that means in everything. Is your business situated to allow people in so that you can be intimate with the people that you work with, so that they know what's going on, so that they know why what they're doing is really important, so that they know that their voice is welcomed and understood and included in every decision that your business is making. It's a time for new businesses to arise. The way our society is right now with the coronavirus and all this stuff, a lot of stuff is crashing. It's time for a new rise.
And there's a lot of
new
space.
Types of business and an engine that can reshape our entire planet.
And it's going to take a lot of bravery, for people people are going to witch hunt you. However, with the communication skills that we've been honing in to be able to teach for this next 12 months, it's knowing that anyone can come for you and there is no attack. Or you know how to diffuse it so intentionally that you realize you are always in control of the conversation, because you have learned how to navigate your own nervous system, your reactions, your responses, and a level of vulnerability and transparency that invites people into conversation so that they leave their sword or their weapons at the door. And it's like, come sit with me. I made us tea.
Yeah. And we're going to teach you how to rock your nervous system and how to rock the nervous systems of other people's. And I don't mean rock as in shake it up. I mean rock as in really own that nervous system.
Let's do this, man.
Let's own your nervous system so that you stay calm and that you know how, when you're being confronted and approached with things, you know how to let another person know that their anger is welcome,
and how to have your boundaries within it,
and how to have your boundaries, but knowing how to get someone's nervous system to downregulate so that they can actually hear you. Because when a person is heightened, the amount of logic and reason that can move through a person is very, very limited if they're at all. So you want to get a person to not run on autopilot and subconscious or unconscious paradigms, but get them to slow. Hey, listen, man, what you said to me is valid, and I'd really love to hear your argument on it. Let's have lunch.
Yep.
Let's have lunch and let me hear about it. And I'm open to you calling me a racist. Please, thank you for enlightening me on your vantage point. I would love to hear about it, and I'm not looking to convince you otherwise. I'd like to know what it is that you're seeing in me, so that if I decide I want to make a shift in myself, I can make that shift with another perspective, with the assistance of another perspective. And your perspective is welcome here. That is inclusivity. That is inclusion. And that is a diverse inclusion of perspectives. And that's what we need to have, I believe. And I don't use need very lightly in my language. I think that's what we need to have, is a diverse inclusivity of perspectives. And that includes black, white, candy stripe. It don't matter where you come from, what language you speak. It needs to all be included in the dialogue.
That is freedom. We hear a lot from different perspectives, different friends that are like, look, that's not my work. White people are on their own. This is not my responsibility. I'm not interested. Valid, understood, honored. Other people are like, how do I help? I'd like to be a part of the conversations. I'm about that work. I will educate people. How can I educate? Where is that process? All of these narratives exist, are valid, real, and otherwise. It is when we decide that, oh, well, my one black friend from college said that he's not helping any white people. That does not speak for the whole collective of black folk. Does not. Just between my friends, it's a variance of beliefs in what needs to be done or what they want to do or how they want to participate. So if you have felt afraid, if you're listening right now and you've wanted to say something and you've just felt unsure and you're really about this next wave of human evolution, when I tell you this wave of leaders that will come from this is unlike this planet has ever seen, and anything we can do to accelerate people stepping into their power, to be an ally, to be a supporter, to be a friend, to be a co-creator with the humans on this planet, I'm in. I am all in.
I'm all in. And this program it's awesome. I mean, I'm doing most of the content for it, and I'm not tooting my own horn, but it's pretty awesome.
I'll toot something else.
I kind of didn't. It's on the chair.
Yeah.
That's right. It's in the chair. So, the content is really awesome. It's really deep, and it's a culmination of a lot of the stuff that I've been working on. If you've been following me on Facebook for years, I've been talking about, I've been bringing racial stuff in for people to discuss and have.
Racial, gender dynamics, all of it. We have not hidden from these conversations.
We brought all these conversations to light. And so this is a really opportune time for us to be able to share this stuff, because people are now seem like they're more ready to listen to it. Yeah. And it's brought a lot of stuff.
Honestly, they're tired of being in a reactive state because it's disempowering. It feels like crap. And it's the realization that me stepping back does not help anyone. It's our opportunity to step forward and learn how to also support that in others.
Yep. Have that dialogue, y'all. So, while you're in your house, get in the mirror. You can do it naked or with clothes on. It's up to you. Don't oppress yourself. Take your clothes off. And just ask yourself, what do I want to do about the current state of affairs? Am I interested in this? And,
and what am I going to do?
What am I going to do? And what are the things that I could potentially be oppressive about? Is there something that I'm doing to oppress other people, and I'm doing it unconsciously? Am I keeping people down? Am I keeping myself down? Am I holding myself back? And
in fear of hurting people, or not doing the right thing, or not saying the right thing?
Is it a program that has been given to me by my parents or my teachers or my friends that I've followed because I was told that this was the way to do it, and it just doesn't feel deeply connected? Or even if it does feel connected, am I holding somebody else back? And is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that I want to teach my children? Is this something I want my business to be participating in? And then, make a decision and call us up and get on this program. It's called Rated R.
Yep. We're going to be starting it in September. So if you want to, how we're doing this, because we are looking to co-create. We're not looking to throw you in a program and then you just go at your own pace. We will have a solopreneur, single person business plan where it is a group coaching that's, not as hands-on with us, but at least it is accessible, and it is accessible to more people. As a result, you will still have interactions with us for sure. And then we have a business level where we're going to come in and we're going to support you and your team to fully bring this awareness so you can communicate as a team and how that rolls out into your marketing. That includes us reviewing your marketing to see that your languaging is inclusive versus diversified.
And if it's not, we will talk to you about why it is not inclusive, and actually bring you up to speed so that you understand, so that you can integrate this into your body, so that this is not just a thing you're doing to cover up so that your business can survive. You're doing this because people are going to call me racist. No, we don't want to work with people who just want to cover things up. We want to work with people who are actually looking for this planet to change moving forward.
And look, we will see it right away anyway. So unless you're really about it, then save your time, save our time. You can find that in other places for a lot cheaper. So go ahead and do that. And then our last process or option will be going into companies for 2-day trainings where we fully immerse into these practices, do breakout sessions for you to practice some of these skill sets in connection and vulnerability and the intricacy of communication and how easy it actually is once someone points it out to you. So if you haven't already, share this episode with a friend. These are the conversations that we start kicking in, that we kick off now. Or if you've got a podcast, if you've got a Facebook group, we are getting up to talk about this in any capacity, whether you want me, Ta, both, whatever. You can go to talkhole.com, TAHKOLE.com, choose what you want to talk to us about, or just schedule a call and let's have a conversation. Or if you want us to come on Instagram Live, on Facebook, on whatever, we're here for it. So as always, rate, review, subscribe, share this with a friend, and we love you. Don't ever forget that. And if you forget, come back so that we can remind you that you are magic. Like Kapow. Everything you want is here right now. My name is Cole.
My name is Ta.
Be
free.